Hello, my name is Louis Tancredi, and what I'd like to do in the next few minutes is cover three things. Say something about myself, go over some of the things that I've done here at Terra for the past 12 years, and conclude as to why I'm running. My early childhood was spent in Naples, Italy. Later, my parents moved to New York City, and there I attended the City College of New York, where I earned a Bachelor of Science degree in electrical engineering. It's also where I met my wife, Joan, and after graduation, I took a job with Raytheon in Massachusetts, and we spent most of our life there. We had two children and now enjoy three wonderful grandchildren. Raytheon, as you know, makes radar systems. They also make plenty of military equipment, including the Patriot missile that you may have heard of. There's a product that I'm sure you use every day in your own home, probably several times a day. And this product was invented at Raytheon many years ago. It was commercialized, and now it's made by many other manufacturers. And that product, of course, is the microwave oven. At Raytheon, I designed subsystems for radar systems. We built a fairly large system that we installed on the island of Shemya down the Aleutian chain. And this radar system is a fixed face radar, size of an 8-story building, and it keeps an eye on the Russian sky for anything that may be coming from that direction. While at Raytheon, I also attended Northeastern University in Boston, where I earned a master's in electrical engineering. At the same time, I also joined the Marine Corps and served as a reservist for 6 years. After Raytheon, I joined Digital Equipment Corporation. Digital revolutionized the computer industry because by making use of a component, actually the transistor, which was invented at Bell Labs in 1947, it was able to build very fast, very small and very inexpensive computers. We called them mini computers. Consequently, instead of bringing work to the large mainframes, we were able to put the computers right where the work was being done, in factories and universities and laboratories, in hospitals controlling medical equipment, and the office, of course. Digital was also responsible for was a key contributor in the development of the internet. As a matter of fact, before the internet, we had a network system that we used internally. It was called DECnet, that allowed us to connect with all of our employees that were located worldwide. At Digital, I started designing semiconductor devices. Later, I managed the development of a fairly large computer system. And at the end, I was managing an organization of about 250 people, engineers, and we were responsible for resolving any problem that our worldwide field service organization of about 10,000 engineers, if they could not solve the problem locally, it would get escalated to us. What I mentioned about the revolution, about bringing the computers to the place that the work was being done, that trend continues today with personal computers, laptops, iPads, smartphones, and lately with wristwatches. I bought an Apple Watch recently for Joan, and she fell a few weeks later. And the watch announced to her, asked her if she was okay. And if she had not answered, it would have summoned 911 because it's smart enough to know also where they were located. Digital later on got bought by Compaq. Compaq then got bought by HP. The consequence of all that acquisition, 20,000 people were laid off, including myself. And at that time, I decided then it was time to retire. And in 2008, we came here to Florida and built a house in Terra. We still maintain residences in Connecticut at the moment. I also do travel quite a bit, but we do enjoy having our kids here and get our grandchildren from time to time. So what have I done here for the past 12 years? And let me say this, that one of the things that I learned from my career and the time spent in the Marine Corps is that if you do anything, if you start out to doing any endeavor, three things you need to pay attention to. Number one is safety. Number two is communication. And number three is you better have fun and you better be enjoying what you're doing. So keeping that in mind, when I moved here, one of the first committee that I joined was the Safety and Security Committee. It no longer exists. And there, most of the things that I've done, I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I wrote it up in the application, which I assume some of you may have already seen. But I would just like to highlight a couple of things when it comes to safety. We had a crosswalk by the clubhouse, which was extremely dangerous because it forced pedestrians to walk right in the middle of the intersection. And that's a heavily trafficked area for the number of people that go to the clubhouse, but also more importantly, the school buses stop in that area and lots of children get off and we're crossing that intersection. And so I proposed to the CDD to move that crosswalk a few yards south of the intersection. Thereby, the crosswalk would cross the median, and then that median then becomes a safe place for people to stand and be safe before they attempt to cross the other two lanes of Terra Boulevard. That finally, the CDD implemented that, and that's what we have right now, a much safer way to cross Terra Boulevard. We also had another safety issue. One of the tennis courts was being lifted, the surface was being lifted by the roots of the royal palm trees that line the tennis court. And some of the proposals were to cut the trees or cut the roots. And at that time, I was playing pickleball. I was probably the only one playing pickleball then. I used to go up to Fort Myers to do that. And so I looked at the problem and I said, why don't we convert the tennis court to a pickleball court, because it's smaller, therefore the surface would move away from the palm trees, saves the palm trees, and at the same time we introduced a new sport. That was proposed, the Master Board accepted it. We even had a survey, 85% of the people that responded supported it. And so we had two brand new pickleball courts. At that time, the problem was no one was playing. No one knew what pickleball was. So I took it upon myself to give lessons. I used to call them Pickleball 101. Later, I got help from a couple of other owners here, from friends. And a few years ago, we proposed to convert another tennis court and I was able to fit four courts and that, for pickleball courts and that tennis court. And so now we have a total of 6 courts. And if you see it, it is one of the finest facilities in the area, enjoyed by owners and guests and residents. As far as communication, I joined the Master Board Communications Committee, was a member of the Single Family Communications Committee, chaired that for many years, and a couple of things that I worked hard on was to get the participation of opt-in rate by owners so they could receive electronic communication. And I'm happy to say that when we started single family, for example, we had about 50% participation. Today we're about up to 85%. For a couple of years, we also published a newsletter for single family. It was called The Voice, and people found that to be very informative. But unfortunately, since it only came out once a quarter, people felt that they needed more timely communication. So today we make use of the bulletin, which many of you receive. Finally, why am I running? And let me say this, that when I worked, I had no time to do any of the things that I really enjoy doing. Terra gives me that opportunity to do that. I bike, I play pickleball, I paint, I play guitar, host parties, make pizza, sing karaoke, and now I'm occupied with a latest hobby, which is astrophotography, and you may have seen some of the images that I've shared with you. So in conclusion, I want to say this. I ask you to opt in if you haven't already done that. Register at the website. I want to thank you for your attention, and please vote. Thank you.